In the entire proceeding, we have heard just at the beginning of the serious evidence of corruption involving Burisma, the Ukrainian natural gas company that paid Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, $1 million a year. So while Joe Biden, let me answer. I'll answer the question.
Answer the question? I appreciate it.
Let me answer the question without interrupting me, please.
You got it.
Burisma paid Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, $1 million a year, while Hunter Biden threatened Ukraine to withhold $1 billion in aid unless and until they fired the prosecutor investigating his son. Joe Biden threatened. Joe Biden is Vice President of the United States, and we just saw a video, which I would encourage every news outlet here to actually show the video of Joe Biden bragging how he told the president of Ukraine that he was going to cut off $1 billion, he was going to block $1 billion in foreign aid to Ukraine unless they fired the prosecutor. And in Joe Biden's own words, son of a bitch, they fired the guy.
So why not have Bolton testify? You said you'd answer the question. Hold on, Andrew.
I'm sorry?
Let me answer the question. I did ask the question. Why?
So I get that the press loves to obsess over the latest bombshell. Listen, I don't know what John Bolton's book says or doesn't say. I've seen the New York Times coverage, but at the end of the day, it doesn't impact the legal issue before this Senate. The legal issue before this Senate is whether a president has the authority to investigate corruption. So the House managers built their entire case on the proposition that investigating Burisma corruption, investigating the Bidens for corruption was baseless and a sham. Hold on, let me finish this. No, I'm going to finish my point, and then I'm happy to answer your question. The House managers based their entire case on the proposition that investigating corruption for Burisma and concerning the Bidens was baseless and a sham. That proposition is absurd. We've just seen, they said there wasn't a shred of evidence concerning corruption. We've just seen 2 hours of evidence. And at a minimum, it was not only reasonable and justified, but the president, I think, had an obligation to investigate corruption that potentially extended to the very highest levels of government.
Senator, over those 2 hours, none of the president's attorneys mentioned one single possible crime that Hunter or Joe Biden are accused of. Basically, what they said was Hunter Biden got a job. That was vice president. If that's a crime, I mean, shouldn't half of your children be in prison?
My children are 9 and 11. I'm sorry that you want to throw a 9-year-old in prison, but at this point, my third grader plays basketball and softball at her school. So stop playing the nasty. Stop playing the nasty Washington game.
I'm sorry, that's not nasty Washington game.
Attacking a 9-year-old?
Senator, I have no idea.
All right.
Senator, we've seen reports about a possible one Republican witness, one Democratic witness. Would you be open to that idea?
Look, in my view, additional witnesses are not necessary. The House managers have presented their case. They haven't come remotely close to meeting their burden of proof. Now, that being said, if the Senate later this week, when we vote on witnesses, decides to go down the road to additional witnesses, I think at a minimum, the most important witness for the Senate to hear from is now Hunter Biden. The House manager made a decision. Let another reporter have a chance.
Why don't you want to hear from John Bolton under oath?
I don't believe the testimony is necessary. The House managers have a burden of proof to prove their case. They have fallen woefully short. The standard under the Constitution is high crimes and misdemeanors. They have not demonstrated any law was violated. And the president was entirely justified in asking for an investigation of corruption concerning Ukraine and potentially Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. At the end of the day, there may or may not have been.
After you see this last hour that we just saw.
Isn't there a shadow over the president if you don't have testimony in a trial?
Look, the shadow over the presidency is the last several months of sham proceedings in the House where they only heard from prosecution witnesses and they ignored the very substantial evidence of corruption with the vice president going to the very top, potentially, of the administration. And by the way, the Obama administration pointed out the conflict of interest over and over and over again, and so did the press until the press decided to defend the House Democrats' partisan impeachment attack. This has been a sham from the beginning. Presidents have the authority to investigate corruption, and there was overwhelming authority.